Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and we're here today with another episode of Free Pattern Friday. Yay, it's Free Pattern Friday. And I have the cutest Whirly Gig Variation that a friend shared with me, and I thought, oh, this would be so perfect in pinks, wouldn't it? It's just like I thought, okay, this is what we're doing here for Free Pattern Friday. Very simple, easy construction, and you do the flip and stitch method of these, but you also make other blocks with those. So yes, we're doing this, and this is going to be a lot of fun. But first, let's get to our shout out. Diahn at Clovers Quilting. Now, it was the July sew date. She came and joined us on our Zoom quilting, and she was a lot of fun. So this is her kind of her surprise shout out. I know it's been a while, but we do try and surprise people with shout outs because it's fun sneaking around and doing something nice. So we have fun. Anyway, she's a lovely personality, so go check her out. Her YouTube channel is in the show notes below, and along with all the cutting instructions for this this pattern. And also, like Quilt Bingo's underway and all the rest of the stuff, right? We have all the Zoom sew dates, of course, from now until the end of December, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm in Alberta, Canada, so just come on down. We have a blast in those sew dates. We really do. Also, share, like, and subscribe. Making comments helps our analytics, and we love hearing from you guys, whether you like this or not, you know, like whether you like the videos or not, or what suggestions you have for other videos. We enjoy it all. The next sew along I'm naming Twinkle Twinkle, so save your strings, because strings are going to be very important. All the colors of the strings are going to be very, very important on this next sew along. And we're going to have some fun with this sew along too, right? Also, we have a Facebook group, and we have all sorts of numerous community chats. They're so much fun, and they're just so well ran by the admin people. I am so thankful that those people are in my life. I can't believe how blessed I have been with those admin people. We also have fabric exchanges by country, of course, to keep the postal costs down, and we have a virtual sewing room that's hosted by Discord for the Facebook group members only, and we are having just so much fun in that sewing room. I try to get in there as often as I can, but life is busy, especially during the summer with grandkids and all the other things that I normally do. But it's all fun. It's all a great time here. So also, I speak for free. I am coming up with a second speaking engagement program, and I'm not going to release the details of it just yet, but it'll be due for December, available after December of 2025. And I do speak for free to quilting groups and quilting guilds, so if you're looking for some other additional content for your quilting group or guild, I'll do my best to make an accommodation for you guys and, you know, come and speak for free. I also come bearing more gifts. Yay! There's more gifts. Okay. Also, if you guys have a shout out, a quilting related YouTube channel that needs some recognition, a pat on the back, and some words of encouragement, please send me their link. Now, you can either reach me for a speaking engagement or a shout out through the About tab that has my email address, or you can message me through Facebook. I'm a lot faster at Facebook than I am at email, but yeah, we'd be happy to give them a shout out. It's so much fun sneaking around to do something nice for somebody, but you can't tell them that it's coming, all right? You have to promise that. So I think we're done, so come on in. Let's get to the sewing of Whirly Gig Variation. Okay, this is a Whirly Gig Variation, and I just thought, what a cute little idea this is. So we're going to see how this all plays out. Now, it's July 14th when we're filming this, and my husband has just told me, he said, they're still unpacking boxes downstairs, and they just are bizarre what kind of things they're finding. So anyways, I have drawn a very, very faint line. And yes, we're using the flip and stitch method for this because we can, but don't throw out your bits. Don't throw out your bits, because I'm going to show you what you can do with your bits. So the first bit we're going to take is the long, dark pink, right, bits. And I think I've got them all lined up the same. Just to check, line them all up, put them all down the same way. And you want to make sure they're the same way before you start cutting. You have to have good coverage, right? That means that you're not, you know, shorting your seam. basically what you're doing is you're kind of staying on this side of that line. Oh, this should probably go that way. A more interesting pattern. Okay, so you want to stay on just this side of the line. Like, you don't want to be sewing on this side, you want to be sewing on that side. Because then in just kissing the line, so that what happens is that you end up with some really pretty little blocks. Okay, now, so we do the stitch and flip method on all 4. Oops, okay. Oops, there we go. Now, we're going to do the same thing on these. Okay, they're all going the same way. So we want to make sure we're lined up well. Now, for this, because you're flipping it this way, you want to stay on this side of the line. So it's a little bit different. A little bit, just a touch different. Just give it This is such an easy one to cut out too, because it was just like I was quite surprised how easy it was to cut out. You could cut out quite a bit of this beforehand, and you could have like a very eclectic scrappy. Let's see what this looks like first. Hang on. Yes, good coverage there. Good coverage there. Just checking it all before we cut. Yes, and all of them are going the same direction, so yes. Yeah, this Whirly Gig Variation is kind of cool. I thought, wow, what a cool way of doing this. Now, we can either do hourglasses or we can do pinwheels with the bits. And I find pinwheels are a little more interesting. There's more movement in them, right? Because they look like they're spinning. So we're going to cut these ones for pinwheels. There we go. Or sew them together for pinwheels. So that means we're making half-square triangles out of them. And we'll make, out of this, we'll make one pinwheel. And we can then trim it down to a more standard, user-friendly size. There we go. Now I cheat. I put my thumb on the line, and that way I don't cut. I don't cut on the wrong side of the line, because the sew line, that's happened in my life before. How do I know? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and this, and this. And now we're putting it all back together again. Now, let's get the rest of this sewn here. Okay. There. Now, we're going to start from this end all the way. Take your time. Give it a little smush, a little love. That's fine too. Okay. Now, with this, here we go. I'm just going to clip these apart. And I'm going to do, right away, I'm going to clip off the dog ears before I even open them up, because that makes it a little faster. I know. There's always, I never throw things out. I should probably learn to do that eventually. Throw things out. It's not like I'm dealing with hoarding issues or anything, but I don't know. And my husband asked me if I wanted to keep or throw out, X today, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So no, I have no clue. So we're going to flip those over. And just a minute here. That goes like this. Okay, we're going to grab this one. And so, just like this. Taking your time again, line it up. You want to be sewing on this side of the line, not this side. And I, like it again, I gently mark them with pencil. So I know exactly where because it's a 4.5-inch square that I'm sewing onto a rectangle. And I would need a line drawing. I need the line. I do. I'm not going to kid you and go, I don't need no line. Yeah, I need a line. At 4.5 inches, I need a line. It's 2.5, depending on how many I'm doing. I can usually go from point to point on 2.5 inch or and or 2-inch. But as soon as we get into 3, 3.5, 4, yeah, no, not so much. Not so much. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Okay, let's get another leader ender out of the, there we go. Yeah, we've got a lot of crazy charity blocks too to work, to get through the work. Oh, I should have done the other thing. Okay, so now we're going to check for coverage. We're going to flip this up like so. Yes, we have good coverage there. Just make sure we've got everything the way. Now, some people would sew that triangle again, right, before they even take it off. But all you're going to end up with is half square triangles. Now, if you wanted to, you could make quarter square triangles out of this just by changing which side you're sewing on. So I've got good coverage on all of these, and I'm going to take the world's smallest scissor and trim this. There. Now this is all going to go under, and I'm going to do another pinwheel, but you'll see how big the pinwheel is with this, right? Okay. Just like so. You could do quarter square triangles, but then your quarter square triangle, the outside edge is on bias. And sometimes people don't like playing with bias edges on things. But we'll do another quarter square triangle and see how big. And that way, too, you know, we're not wasting anything. Now, these quarter square, these pinwheels, potential pinwheels, could go into a border. Right? I mean, you know, like, because they're going to end up being a pretty good size. So you could do them as a border, or you could do them as a row on another quilt, you know, because, I mean, if you matched up, let's say you did a Whirly Gig Variation like I'm doing here, and then you sew all of these together, well, you can, and I just ran out of bobbin. You could do a row quilt where you're playing with, you know, different blocks per row. And, yeah, well, it's time. I ran out of bobbin, I guess. I lost bobbin chicken. Again, I lost bobbin chicken. I need to wipe that out. Actually, there we go. Now, here, get this one. I knew that would happen sometime today, and I would run out of bobbin chicken. I made kind of a bet with myself in the morning. Am I going to be filming running out of bobbin thread again today, or not? Because that's always happening. It seems like it's just constant. Just constantly happening to me. Okay, next up, let's go here. And the last one. Yes, may as well have good coverage there. Okay, just like that. There, you see all that? Isn't that nice? Now, the pinks play really well together. The breast cancer fabric has a bit of gold sphinx in it. And I thought, ooh, perfect. And, okay, so now, with these little ones, you line these up. Now, I always line up my pinwheels the same way. And the pinwheel portion of this, I always put my dark in that spot there. And I always press to the dark. And that way it's easy. Now, the thing you're lining up is the points, right? Like the point here. Like you're lining up that point. And you don't really care about the other point when you're doing pinwheels like this, because you want all your centers to match beautifully, and that way you get a lovely pinwheel out of all of those little pieces, right? And let's see, let's get this all sorted out too, because, okay, and I'm gonna just quickly rip off the dog ears here. Hang on, get this. I hate taking up all this time for you guys, but you see that nothing gets wasted, right? You know, so. And that's important too, especially if you're doing scrappy quilts. Now, what a row quilt is you do one row of whatever and you have spacers on the end. So if your quilt blocks don't quite meet, you know, like the yardage or the length, right? You can add spacers at the bottom and it will still look good, right? Now we'll just put those aside. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to sew these pieces together, right? These pieces together are very important. Putting them all the same way. There we go. And I should probably change feet. Yes, I will. I will change feet. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of a... I'm doing all this 1/4 inch stuff. I might as well switch over now to the 1/4 inch foot. There we go. There. I like my 1/4 inch foot. I bought this off of Amazon. Anyways, now we want to sew all of these the same direction, the same way. And we want to make sure that we stay pressed to the dark, right? Because that's important. And that's not pressed to the dark, that's pressed to the light. Well, that's not going to work. Oh no, yeah, it's pressed, yeah, it's got to be pressed to the dark. Okay, there we go. All of these are pressed wrong. I finger pressed them wrong. Oh well, we'll straighten that up right away. There we go. Here, we can just go like that too, that works. Oops, line it up. Take your time, line it up. Get it right. And we'll push that seam the other way. I know why it's pressed wrong. It was pressed wrong because I did the flip and stitch with the light, the low volume, and the other one I did a flip and stitch with the medium. That's why it's pressed the wrong way. Okay. Well, we can correct that. We can just correct that. That's easy to correct. Just go this way. There we go. Nice. Okay. Come on, let's go this way. Now I'm going to quickly run the little pinwheel under here, showing you how you match up your points, right? So one goes one way, one point, because you're nesting this center seam, and none of it has to match up after that, because once your center is matched, that's fine. You just swirl it all the same way, right? Okay, so just like that. Okay, there we go. And that'll probably finish at a 2.5, I would guess. Okay, so now I'm gonna get this all clipped. Okay, this goes, you're pressing to the dark. Okay, it goes like that. Press to the dark, yes. And that goes like that. There. You guys see this coming together? Okay, so now, see, like the Whirly Gig Variation. Some of these Whirly Gigs are just gorgeous when they're done. You know, there's lots of things you can do with Whirly Gigs too. Like you can go 3 Whirly Gigs across, or you can do... Okay, I hope we didn't lose too much film footage, but I mean, the battery ran out, There's nothing we can do about that. But hopefully we caught it in time so that you guys can see what's going on here. So anyways, I ran the little pinwheel through, so I'm just going to run the big pinwheel through so you can see. Now, you want to match the point. The point is important. Now, all the rest of the stuff can be trimmed away, and then you have, you know, a common size for whatever you need, right? Later on. Anyways, we were talking about doing row quilts. So if your row quilt, let's say you have a bunch of these pinwheels, you know, at a certain size from, let's say, leftover from doing a quilt of a pinwheel, like a Whirly Gig Variation, right? You know, you could make this part of the border. You could do whatever you needed to do with it. Anyways, what I do is I take it, now this baby pinwheel, and I pop open that seam, that center seam, so it lies flat. And this will lie absolutely perfectly flat because the seam popped open beautifully. Well, it's got a little issue. Nope, we're good. We're good. I feel it. We're good. So there's the center, just absolutely perfect. This all is rough and you need to trim it up, but I mean, that's what it's going to look like, right? And that's how you swirl your back, right? So now this will lie really good and flat. So let's get the Whirly Gig Variation. There's all sorts of things you can do with whirly gigs. Like you can have 3 of these, you know, and all scrappy, that works. You can change up something like this, or you could even play around with the orientation of this as well, right? So, but this just assembles now just exactly like a 4-patch. So this is really easy assembly. You just run it through one direction. You can add lovely elements, you know, like mini, you know, some of the mini Monday things that we did. You can add those into the Whirly Gig here in this spot instead of a triangle. Like, you could have so much fun with this. Okay, then we do the other side, just like so. We're webbing these together so everything's nice and neat. Let's see, did that? Yeah, that did go the right way. Okay, good. I'm so glad that went the right way. Okay, now this has got to go down. There we go. Now, before I take that one out, I'm going to do this, matching up that center. One goes up, one goes down in this center seam, and you get it as close as you can. And you line it up. Here we go. There. Just trim just a bit. Just a hair out of there. There we go. Okay. Now your Whirly Gig, just like this, up and over. I'm just going to move that out of the way. Here we go. There we go. Just like that. And I'm going to leave that to the side here for a second. Now, this is going to want to lay this way because of the seams. So we want to line it up the best we can. Like I say, this one's kind of a coordinated piece, but you could do Whirly Gig. You can do Whirly Gigs totally scrappy, and they look amazing. They really do. They look so much fun. When you put in so many fun elements. Okay. And another leader ender. Yay! Okay, here we go. Now, I'm going to show you twice. There's 2 different ways of doing this. Now, when you're going to open up that center seam, right? You're going to pop it open just like this. You're going to pull. Right, you can see which way. If you can't see the way the seam lies, this one seam will go this way and this seam will go that way. Right, so you just pop it open and you pull it flat. We're just gonna get this out of the way because it's being a nuisance. See, and then you just finger press down which ways these all have to go, and you just end up with a very lovely piece. Now, the same thing on this pinwheel, and it's got, yeah, it's coming. It'll be fine. It's lying really flat. Not perfectly flat, because it's got a couple of bit of stitches in there, but that's fine. Now, if you don't know what you're doing, look to see how they're swirling, right? Like you can see the seams are all moving that way except for these two. Well, now, if you take those seams as close to that center as you can usually just wiggle and maneuver this so that it will open for you. Just a sec. And sometimes, where's my stitch ripper? Sometimes you need to give it an extra push just by taking a couple of stitches out, right? And it will suddenly, just magically, all of a sudden be flat. Absolutely flat. There it is. Right there. That is as flat as that thing is going to get. So, and this is what it looks like now from the front, because it took the time to match the points in the middle. Now this is just, this would be waste or cut off. But you see, you've got like a good size, you know, you've got a good size pinwheel here. So I would trim this up down, or yeah, trim it down to a common size. But you know, like I say, I would leave this and put it in my stash. And if I'm going to do a row quilt, okay, if I have a whole bunch of these that are about the same size, we'll take the smallest one, that's the common size, and then I would do a row of them. But these are all sorts of fun to do as well. They're great. So let me give this a good press, and we'll get to our ta-da moment. So this is our block, our Whirly Gig Variation. Now you could play around with this Whirly Gig because it is just such a fun little block to do. You could change out anything, any element, or one element or two elements if you want. And what makes it a Whirly Gig is this piece here with the slant, right? It kind of reminds you of a saw, like a table or you know, round saw that, you know, carpenters use. But yeah, this is just such a pretty one. Now you can play around and make this totally scrappy, or make each block a little different, and your quilt will look really interesting, right? So, and it is a fast one to cut out, and it's an easy one to assemble. Like you saw how fast we assemble it. Plus you end up with some cute pinwheels, or you could end up with some two quarter square triangles that are small, and you know, 2 quarter square triangles that are, you know, a little bit, you know, smaller, much smaller than this, but they're all on bias edges on the outside. So it's up to you which way you want to go. But yeah, this one was very fun, very fast, and very cute. So I do hope you have a just absolutely peaceful and wonderful week ahead, and life is treating you very gently, and your 1/4 inch is just absolutely perfect. So take care and stay well until we see each other again. Okay, bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for all of your support and watching our videos and sharing and liking. It has just been, you've put us on such an amazing journey, and we are having so much fun. I hope everything is going so well in your life, and you know, your 1/4 inch is perfect. Everything is working out for you. And we're just so happy to be part of your lives, and you having, like I say, you're watching us. I was just so thrilled that you're doing that. So I want to say goodbye, and I want to thank you with all my heart. Okay? Take care. Bye.